Hey, Marco, welcome. Good to see you again, my friend.
Good to see you, Driggsy.
So, you know, it's my duty and obligation to provide our viewership with the update on how far into the season we've gotten. And I spent some serious time today doing the calculations, feeding our algorithms. And I'm proud and happy to announce that we are now 9.2% of the way through the Major League Baseball 60 game tournament. Do you remember when we were 17% through?
Yeah, we did a whole little segment on the heft of that, and I waxed on long and rather interestingly, I think, on that, and now we're pretty much at half.
Yeah. So let me give you a little information that'll help clarify that I'm not just making up bullshit here. But the Detroit St. Louis 4-game series was completely canceled, and so Miami isn't playing at all. And we have we have a couple teams that have played 10 games, and we have a few teams that have only played 3 games. So when you put that all into the hopper, in addition to understanding and appreciating that Philadelphia actually has 2 games canceled against 2 different teams tomorrow. We got a game not canceled but postponed. A game postponed against both Miami and the Yankees tomorrow. We come out with the fact that we're now 9.2% through the tournament. How about that? Which is wonderful news because that means it's got a bit longer to go. Maybe
Yes,
if we play all our cards right, if we play all of our cards right, if we do everything perfectly, tomorrow maybe we can get it under 8%.
I only have one thing to ask about that. Do you get your algorithms machined at Cal Poly?
It's an algorithm I kind of do on my own. I failed algebra twice, so it's not trustworthy. but that's how.
But interesting, nonetheless.
Yeah. So, do you have anything you want to talk about before we get into today's?
Well, I mean, these hard luck Marlins. Being an Oriole fan, they're scheduled to come up here. I mean, they're having the hardest time. They're the worst case scenario on every angle, and now they're going to be coming up to Baltimore and thinking they're going to knock out 4 games, 2 7-inning doubleheaders in 2 days, and the Hurricane's going to be coming up. So there's not going to be any games. And I just, it's if it's not one thing with these Marlins, it's another. But really, I'm tired of all this rain, and I just want to see games. And this doesn't have anything to do with COVID, what you were talking about, but I found myself having nice sense memories of being younger and growing up in the Maryland area, and really now missing droughts, missing seeing that grass burnt to a crisp and brown and not having to mow it, tomato plants dying and not having to worry about any of that. Now I'm living in a swamp. All I could think about, I got these beautiful flowers. I don't even know where they're coming from. All I can think about doing is taking a chainsaw to them. But this hurricane, you heard about this hurricane?
Just a little bit, because I'm as far away from hurricanes as you can get, and I'm investing all my time trying to figure out what percentage of the season we've gotten through. So I'm aware that.
But yes, your machine, you're machining some amazing algorithms. But the hurricane is Isaias.
That's insane.
Isaias. Say it with me. Isaias. Try it one more time. Isaias. It came to me. I did a little research because it's an interesting name, Isaias. I'm not knocking the name or anything, but I think that I did some research. I had a little time today, and I looked at the national a meteorologist board, and it seems as though they have their own version of the Rooney Rule that's called the Roker Rule. So they've had enough Floyds, Andrews, Beatrices, and Kevins. So they need to get some Latin flavor in there. The Rooney Rule is, that they have to get some minority.
NFL is required to interview a minority candidate for coaching.
Zaisis is slipped in there because they're, like I said, enough Floyds, Andrews, Beatrices, and Kevins. But they call that the Roker Rule. Al Roker, the Roker Rule. That's it. I guess I'm not going to be seeing any hometown baseball, but I have some more to talk about the Orioles a little later. But I think there's.
Well, before we go there, let's go back to your point about the Marlins. Okay. I think there's two very interesting pieces of information that people just may not be all that aware of. The last time the Marlins played a game was July 26th.
Wow.
July 26th. And remember how they've signed all these 30-year-old veterans? Don Mattingly, the coach of the Marlins today, said, I haven't ever even spoken to some of these players.
Oh, my God.
You think a guy in quarantine, right? You think he'd make a phone call.
Why not? I mean, you can't catch
be like, what position do you play?
Well, I mean, is it too much to ask to put together a Zoom?
Right.
I mean, I know Zoom is a little overused these days, but I mean, I got ex-girlfriends calling me up in the middle of shows on the phone. I think Mattingly could get on the phone.
You think? Put together a lineup, Don.
Can he get on the phone?
Unbelievable. I've never even spoken to these guys.
When you first brought that up, as you know, I never make it to meetings, so I don't even know what you're working on all day. But as you first brought that up, I heard the name Don Mattingly. I'm like, this is going to be great, man. Don Mattingly at first base for the Marlins. I was thinking, he's going to actually get out there and play.
So did you want to talk about anything else before we look at?
Well, I mean, I know you wanted to talk about the Halos, and but if you wanted to talk about that, and then I have a mini polemics I want to do. I'm not going to do polemics on a grand scale like you, but I could save that for later, man. But you said you wanted to talk about the Halos.
So before we do that, let's get the day's action in.
Good.
So Pittsburgh and Minnesota are in a tight one, which is an interesting matchup, and they'll have serious effect on the remainder of the games in the series. Today, I just had one of those days. We're trying to make a living here. So far, all our viewers, none of them have sent us any money. In fact, we're sending out prizes, which I have a point to make on. So we're trying to make a living, and I just didn't have a chance to do the proper handicapping of games. So we reached out to our substitute handicapper, Mr. BD, and he gave us a few games tonight. The first game he suggested is the White Sox Milwaukee, and right now we're heading to the bottom of the eighth, down a run there. In the Giants Rockies game, he suggested we play the under 13.5. That game's at 11, heading into the top of the ninth. So if
that looks good.
It does look good. And they can even give up 2 7-6 finals, a win for us. So we got a couple runs to play with in the top of the ninth. If the Rockies come up to bat again, we lose. So we're on that. Oakland is having no trouble with Seattle. We framed that game as an important game for Seattle to even the series and to stay afloat. But Oakland just said, welcome to the big leagues tonight. Now, last night you had, I don't say challenged, but had prompted me to analyze the game of the day, which is the Dodgers and the Padres.
Very exciting.
Yeah, it's such an exciting game. And we broke all that down yesterday and framed it for why it's such an exciting game. And I didn't promise a winner on that game, but I promised that I would provide a pick. But the key to the pick was not a winner or loser. The key to the pick was that it's going to be a play that if you play it, I promised that you would be in action until the end of the game. It just wouldn't be out of action. And I promised everybody a prize if I couldn't do that type of catch.
You couldn't deliver.
right? If I delivered a blowout one against us, and so I took the run and a half with the Padres. So it's a game I probably would have just taken the plus money on the Padres, but that wasn't the point of the pick. The pick was to be in action. So here we are, bottom of the seventh inning. We're up 3-5. So really, we're up 3 to 6.5. So that's looking really good. And if you played that and you played it safe and you put up the unit and a half and paid the money, hopefully that'll get you a little profit today. Meanwhile, Cleveland only put together 5 hits against Cincinnati, and I was talking to a buddy very briefly today who's a Cleveland fan, and he is just beside himself with how cold Cleveland's bats are, and he knows I'm a Halo fan, and Mike Clevenger pitched yesterday and is doing great, but his point to me was Clevenger originally was an Angel that we traded to Cleveland, and his point was, we'll trade him back to you for anybody with batting gloves.
Yeah, they're having a
My point was,
level of squaring up on balls.
Yeah,
Huh?
Exactly. My point was, I don't think we have any batting gloves.
Yeah, it's true. So you guys are struggling too, but
Right.
there's good news about the Halos struggling, I think, with this Joe Adell probably starting in left field tomorrow.
You love this kid. You've been talking to me about him for years.
Full straw sip. I like that.
Yeah.
Full amount of straw on that one.
Yeah. So you love this kid, Joe Adell.
Yes, I do love him. And I think that, I mean, again, I get excited. You know that. I'm hard to contain. I bet with my heart. We already talked about it. I don't machine algorithms like you do. I like the Halos. I love Madden. I love their starting pitching. Good weather doesn't give them.
You love their starting pitch.
I like their starting pitching. I think I said I love Madden and I like their starting pitching, but I don't want to rewind the tape. But I think their starting pitching's been good. And I mean, as long as Haney's healthy, I told you that if he'd ever had health problems, he would be borderline number one. I got a lot of hyperbole and also a lot of excitement in me. But I'm going to go right now. We're going to say that Joe Adell tomorrow is not only going to create a spark for this team and put them on a run, he's going to be a lightning bolt. And I think I'm going to already start calling him Joe Bolt or Joe the Bolt Adell. So
Love it.
If I'm wrong about this, then we'll always have the tape. But I'm confident that I could go forward calling him Joe the Bolt Adell. Now, I did look at that game because I'm excited. I've been excited about this guy for a long time because, I get excited, Mike. But I noticed that the pitcher for the Halos tomorrow is to be determined, and I'm thinking, isn't that redundant? I mean, isn't the whole tournament to be determined?
Yeah, pretty much. So the Giants instantly have all sorts of guys on base and already a run across the plate. So if you
what are you doing, jinxing the bet? Now you're blaming me.
All right. So
please tell me it wasn't Brandon Belt that got the hit.
Yeah, right. Well, they got one out, a guy on second, 7-5. We'll see how that comes in. Certainly wasn't.
All right. Well, we still got a run and a half, man. Right?
No, that's on the Padres. We got run and a half. Right.
Run and a half, 13 and a half.
Yeah.
Hey, come on, I'm paying attention to the feed.
Yes.
So yeah, all right. So there, we talked about the Halos. I remember I have a mini polemics that I want to talk about possibly. But tell me, I mean, I know that you got to have dinner with Dr. Doug from the CC today. I mean, do you want to talk a little bit about that, or
yeah, I do. It was an amazing dinner, and but I want to finish up the slate first. So the Phillies are back in action today, and look, a 6-3 loss against Garrett Cole. Arrieta leaves with a 5.4 ERA, but they were in the game. You've been out of action. You come up against the monster Yankees and Cole, so they held their own. Another play that our guest Capper put us on today was the Mets Atlanta, which he was under 8. He had 2 aces going, and that game was over pretty quickly. But it's one of those situations where the Braves starting pitcher got a serious injury and might be done, and so that was the end
Yeah.
of him. And so that happens. But I was starting to handicap that game, and last year 7 times the Mets had lost 3 games in a row, and they handed the ball to DeGrom 7 times that they had lost 3 in a row. And if there's anyone in Major League Baseball that you would want to give the ball to end a losing streak, it is DeGrom.
Yes.
7 times last year, and all 7 times DeGrom lost. So, but
nobody knows that.
What?
Nobody knows that because
Nobody knows that. But tonight he won. Tonight is not last year. So so that happened. It's now 7-6 Colorado. So San Francisco with a guy on second. That's the tying run. That's the run that'll beat our guest handicappers play, and still only 1 out. So what was looking good heading into the 9th is looking more and more tenuous. And the Dodgers.
Tell me the finals. Tell me the score right now of that Atlanta Mets game.
7-2. So it was under 8.
No, the Mets were winning 7-2.
Yeah.
So DeGrom last year couldn't come through as the stopper 1 time in the 7 times they gave him the ball during a losing streak.
Yeah.
And you went with him this year knowing that he couldn't do it 7 times, and he did it this year.
Didn't go with him. What went with him in the sense that he wouldn't give up runs. We took the under. We took under 8. That was.
I just find that fascinating from the standpoint is off the top of my head, not knowing that stat that I was thinking, give it to DeGrom.
Yeah.
Why wouldn't you give it to DeGrom? But they did that 7 times when they needed someone to break a losing streak, and he couldn't do it 7 times, you said.
Yeah.
Yet everybody thinks they should give it to DeGrom.
Well, those 7 losses were not DeGrom's fault. They didn't put anybody across the plate. It's 7-6 now, 2 outs with the guy on third.
Okay, this is exciting.
Right.
Keep us opposed to that because
thank you, BD.
That's one.
That's
one blue hit, and it's not so good for BD's pick.
Right.
Great analysis, Michael. Great analysis.
That's there. So Votto played today. How about yesterday? We all thought he had COVID, but it was just a sniffle, so he's back in action, and he got a hit or 2.
Good for both of them.
So that's the day's slate, Marco.
Okay. What's it with these big guys, these giant guys, these men of steel with the sniffles? What is this all about? I mean, I'm not making fun of COVID. Thank God, Boto. Thank God, Davis. They don't have COVID. But how do you succumb to sniffles? I mean, when I was little, if I had sniffles, I wasn't allowed to stay home from school. Go out, the fresh air will clear your sniffles. I mean, how do these guys can't play baseball because they got sniffles?
Let's give them the benefit of the doubt and just say that they're self-reporting based on any kind of unusual sensation they're having. They're being cautious.
Yeah, I mean, that's part of the protocol because it's a symptom.
Yeah.
You test yourself, and then you get 2 tests. It's not hard to get 2 tests negative. 2 days, 2 tests. And Davis is still out, worried about sniffles.
BD hit that under. We got that win.
You did. They got the out.
We got that out. So
good job, BD.
Yeah.
And how's that Dodger game looking?
5-3, top of the 8th. Dodgers with a guy on base.
Okay, that's looking. I don't want to say anything, right? I can't say anything. I don't.
No, you can always say it's looking good. You just can't say cash that ticket or that's a win.
No. Yeah, that's looking good. That San Diego pick is looking good. Tell us about your dinner with Dr. D. I don't get to spend much time with him, but I mean, I like to hear when you two get together. It's like a barrel of monkeys.
Our restaurants are open out here, but for outdoor seating. And who's going to turn down an opportunity to have a nice steak dinner with the good Dr. Doug? And so we're at a long table outside in the tent. It's just it's nice, and we went to Morton's.
It's a good steakhouse.
Yeah, it's a good steakhouse, but they bring in their own steaks. They don't use the butcher box. And Butcher Box is a very special meat. Why don't you tell us about Butcher Box, Mark?
Butcher Box, when you need meat and sometimes you need a butcher. I mean, they have the best G2 grass-fed, grass-finished beef, no antibiotics, happy animals, free range. I'm talking about the meat, Michael. I'm not talking about the Butcher Box. It's best meat that you could get.
Exactly. So, some people bring their own bottle of wine to the restaurant and they charge a corkage fee. I bring my steak.
You bring the Butcher Box right to the board. Love it, man.
You saw my freezer. So I bring it in a special box, like people would bring their wine in a special thing. And look, the Butcher Box is kind of new in regard to it's sweeping the land. So the restaurant was a little unfamiliar with that. And so I asked the the waitress, what is the fee for the the cooking of my steak? And she didn't know. So she brought the manager, and the manager agreed that they would just charge the same price for their regular fillet. And I'm like, oh my God, because what a deal. I mean, this is a Butcher Box steak that I'm gonna pay the price for the same fillet. And I let them take it back and cook that. And do you know how sometimes when your meal is just so good, it's so delicious, you say, can you let the chef know how good the meal was? And the chef will come out and you thank them. Well, when the chef saw the steak, he came out to thank me, for providing him the opportunity to cook such a quality steak. And he just basically said, this is like the honor of my career. And we discussed how it would be cooked. And he brought it up. He served it himself and served it. And the people at the table next to us, which is about 14 feet away, could still see and smell the steak. And the waitress came over, the server came back over and said, the people over there are like, what did you order? What is that? And I had to tell them that, well, this is the Butcher Box. And so I don't usually do this, but I cut off a little piece of my steak and I sent it to their table. So they paid for our entire meal after one bite of that steak.
That's extraordinary. That is extraordinary. That's how good that meat is. What a delightful story. And I mean, it just bills and bills from. It's just you're bringing in a steak in a special container, and nobody really knows what to do. And then it turns out to be a crowd pleaser. I mean, that tent was alive because of what you did. I mean, the chef came out, tables were applauding you and him, and
Yeah.
that's glorious. I don't have that kind of fun here. I deal with crickets. Wow. Well, thank you for telling me that story. I like living vicariously for you. That was beautifully, wonderfully told. What else? I don't want to drag anyone down, but I was going to do a mini polemics. What's going on in that Dodger game?
Well, I ordered dessert.
Whoa!
Yeah.
All right, I didn't mean to stop you.
I ordered dessert, and I ordered for the whole table. Me and Doug, Dr. Doug.
Yes, I know.
I brought what I ordered for dessert. You ready for this? Look at this.
Yeah. Morton's.
Yeah. Who needs the chocolate souffle, man? They have the masks, ordered the masks, and ordered it for the table. So when you go out to dinner, you don't have to be unhealthy. Order the masks.
You ordered the mask. That's hilarious. That's very, very funny. You ordered the mask.
Yes. Yes.
What a story. I want to. I want you to do a story like that every episode because it's very entertaining.
Well, we're just telling the truth here. You know what else is the truth? Is we promised to give away prizes, and look, some people have claimed their prizes, but they've kind of turned into like the prize police. Anytime we make them, we're just getting our box filled with Marco broke promise 204 episode 6, Marco broke promise, Driggs broke promise. Just it's great because we want to give out these prizes, but holy shit, man, who knew we broke so many promises? I thought we just broke hearts. We're breaking a lot of promises, and those of you who sent in your acknowledgments of our promises, those prizes are on their way. The boxes are shipping. They really are nice prizes. We don't want to tell what they are because we want to take away from the surprise. But your boxes are coming. They'll be there. I don't know. Do we still have a postal service?
It's a good question. That's a fair question. I'm going to be near Capitol Hill tomorrow. I'll find out.
Good. So those prizes are on their way.
We're not killing it in the ratings. We don't have a huge audience, but we have a vigilant audience. I just want to get that in there.
Quality over quantity any day.
So we have one or two more things I think we could do. What's going on in that Dodger game?
We're heading to the bottom of the 8th, up 3-5.
Nice.
So we're sitting very pretty there. Hey,
we have Michael Driggs' first read to do.
Yeah.
And we could just do that and wrap it up, or I could slip in the mini polemics that I wanted to talk about. Do we have time for me to slip in the mini polemics?
Yeah, do your polemics, and then I want to talk about the cornfields in Iowa.
All right, talk about the cornfields in Iowa. I'll save my polemics for tomorrow.
No, you got to do the polemics. I've been excited to hear it all day.
You're excited to hear about my polemics. Well, I made the mistake of looking at the MLB.com's power rankings. And I was all excited, The Orioles are 5-3. They got they have the 7th best winning percentage in all of baseball, all of 30 teams. If you don't count the Marlins. The Marlins are actually 7. So
even though the coach doesn't
count the Marlins, they have the 8th best winning percentage. They're hitting the shit out of the ball. They're 5-3. How in the hell are they 26? And Philly's ahead of them at 1-2, and Texas is ahead of them, and Kansas City is at. These writers have to understand this is not a season. This is a tournament. This Oriole team ranking has to. I don't care if it's in the top 10, but it has to be. It has to be. Do I get points if I'm really loud on my polemics, or just should I make my points? It has to be. They have to be. Their power ranking has to be higher than Kansas City, higher even than the Halos, higher than Philly at 1-2. Are you kidding me? And that's my polemics. MLB.com, get your power rankings together because these are rankings.
Do you know how? It's an excellent point. Excellent point. Do you know how often MLB updates their power rankings?
Well, they just did today, but how often?
Yeah, I don't know. So,
I think they do it every Monday.
As a handicapper, it's very important to have your own personal power rankings. I have a list of power rankings, and I update every 15 minutes.
Yeah.
That's how on top of it.
That's better than every week.
Yeah. So would you like to know where I have Baltimore?
I would like to know where you have Baltimore. I'm anxious.
26th. Come on, that was a good little joke I said up there. I don't do a power.
I'm laughing, and I think everybody's laughing along with it.
No,
we know that it takes longer for you to machine those algorithms. Come on.
I want to make a point about handicapping. Baseball, Major League Baseball, to have power rankings is silly because it's not like football where it really is a team sport. It really is a team sport. There's so much that goes into the starting pitching and the bullpens. And where I tend to get fucked the most is the middle relief. I mean, that it's just tough to handicap that. on a regular daily basis, especially in a tournament like this. But in general, to have power rankings on Major League Baseball teams is ultimately irrelevant unless you're playing over unders. It makes sense there. So I don't give ESPN too much credit. They have heads up their asses. Obviously, Baltimore should be at least 18th or 17th.
Yeah, I would have been happy with that. I would have been happy with that.
So will
And,
you give me a favor?
I get excited. We talked about this. I get excited, so I sometimes forget that we're a handicapping show, and I just want to wax on.
Yeah.
All right, man. Why don't unless you have any score updates, let's go to Michael Driggs' first read.
Yeah, let's take a look at the action tomorrow. We already talked about how the Phillies have a couple games canceled all across the East Coast. They won't be playing in Miami. They won't be playing in New York. I guess that's the New York postponement is due to the hurricane. I guess that's what that's about. And St. Louis is trying to deal with their outbreak. But why should Detroit suffer because St. Louis is having an outbreak? St. Louis should field something. And if casinos don't want to put lines on the B team, that's fine. They don't have to put a line on every game. But how is it reasonable to Detroit that Detroit doesn't get to play tomorrow against a team? I don't get it, right? So Pittsburgh, Minnesota is the early game. It starts at 11 in the morning, our time. So, go to sleep, get up. This don't be sleeping in tomorrow. Looks like Minnesota got the win tonight. I don't know. It looks like they got a late win. Of course, they did. So tomorrow, Pittsburgh is in trouble. We'll see what that line is. Cleveland gets to go behind Bieber tomorrow, who is 2-0. If anybody needs to stop a losing streak right now, I'd rather have DeGrom on the mound. But
Seven times, not once. I want that DeGrom.
Yeah, exactly. But Bieber, all he needs is a run tomorrow, probably. But we were talking last night about how the first read on Cleveland Cincinnati was the under last night, and that was at 8. So tomorrow's over under is probably going to open at 7.5. We may see our first 7.5 American League game tomorrow. And I say if you see it at 7.5, just get on it before it goes to 8, and then the final score will be 5-4, and you'll lose anyway. But at least you would have gotten the good value play in without handicapping. And that's something you just have to do. I mean, if you see a line that is a little off, just if you see 7.5, get on that. I don't know. I'm talking in circles. I guess point was wait till it goes to 8, get it on. Ignore everything I just said about that game.
Strike it.
Strike that game.
That won't even be on the broadcast.
Yeah, it's gonna. I don't know. One of those days, man. We may need to call in a substitute capper tomorrow. Boston, Tampa Bay, Uvalde against Morton. Look, I look for Morton to come back a little bit. Tampa Bay comes in at 4-6. Boston may be exactly what Tampa Bay needs, right? This is exactly what Tampa Bay needs.
Tampa Bay gets swept in Baltimore, and then they're gonna have a chip on their shoulder. And Boston, I got something I'm preparing for the Boston fans because it's not looking good for them. But I got something that's going to make them feel better should we finally pull the plug on Boston and say they're done for the tournament.
But if Boston's got anyone who can pitch, it's Uvalde, and he goes tomorrow. So that throws a little spice into the mix.
Makes it interesting.
Mm-hmm. The Mets finally escape Atlanta with a win, so they avoided being swept, and they head up to Washington. Washington gets to take the field again. So a couple of underachieving teams right now. The Mets at 4-7, Washington at 3-4. Washington hasn't announced their pitcher, and Matz looks to continue his decent start so far. Guess who's back in action, my friend?
I don't want to guess.
These Jays.
Yeah.
They head to Atlanta. And now this is hilarious to me. They were off all weekend, And I think they were off Thursday, Friday, Saturday, Sunday, Monday, but maybe it's just Friday. Whether it's 4 or 5 days, I don't know. You would think a team that's had 4 or 5 days off would know who their starting pitcher is tomorrow.
You would,
To be determined. To be determined.
to be determined. That's hilarious.
Yeah.
This is a stupid question. I know you're in the middle of this, and this is everybody's favorite segment. But why aren't they playing any games in the Queen City yet? I mean, is it not?
Yeah, we talked about this because the stadium in Buffalo is not up to Major League standards.
And they're still working on that.
Yeah, August 11th or 12th is when they'll play their first home game. And my joke about that was, it's a minor league park. They need to build the upper deck to fill it with the cardboard cutout.
Right, I do remember the joke, but I didn't know it was going to take this long. So we got to wait until 11. So are they going to get like the longest home stand in the history of the tournament? I mean, to make up for all these road games, they're going to get a nice long home stand there in the Queen City.
No, because they were home when they played Washington.
Oh, that's true. See, now I'm talking in circles.
Right.
10 minutes ago, and all we're doing is detracting from it by me interrupting you. So I'm going to shut up. Finish your first read.
No, it's fun, man. And so Miami, and this is hilarious about Miami. Miami is slated to play Baltimore tomorrow in Baltimore. That game hasn't been postponed as soon as I know. So Miami back in action. Baltimore's ready to go. They're all set. But you would think Miami would know who is pitching tomorrow. Miami's to be determined. Maybe Mattingly should look at his own roster. Take a look at your roster, Mattingly. What do you mean? Have you even talked to the players on your roster? It's hilarious. So the White Sox look like they're about to close out Milwaukee for a 6-4 win, which means the White Sox go again tomorrow against Milwaukee, and it's Giolito versus Woodruff. Giolito, this is a game he needs to shine. That's what I want to say about that. Kansas City in Chicago. So Kansas City, which is higher power ranked than your O's, got a whopping 5 hits today and 0 runs. Absolutely mastered by Mills. Gets tomorrow. They get Kyle Hendricks, who will he be back in contention for the Dazzy Vance? Speaking of the Dazzy Vance, you know what Dr. Doug and I talked about all meal when we were talking about my butcher box?
Yeah. Tell me about it.
Dazzy Vance.
He talked about what?
Dazzy Vance.
Oh.
Yeah. Dr. Doug's become an expert on Dazzy Vance, and he recommends on YouTube the Don Drysdale special on Dazzy Vance.
Okay. So
throw that out there to our viewers.
So we're promoting other shows on YouTube.
Yeah. So then we got a series of late games with San Francisco and Colorado. We know that our guest handicapper nailed that game today. We won by the hook with that coming at 13. And so we had the 13.5. Texas and Oakland. So Oakland flies overnight tonight with their win at home against Seattle. They fly into Texas. They'll get themselves together, and they have to face Lance Lynn, who might really be the leader right now for the Dazzy Vance. But this is an interesting game, a really interesting game. Is Oakland now ready to push ahead and really start to walk away with the division, as they really want to do? But this guy Lynn has been on fire. He's really pitching above his pay grade. And so when you look at those, my first read is Lynn is due to regress to the mean. Oakland is starting to play better, but I am wrong. This game is in Oakland. It's not in Texas. So it's Texas that is coming into. We're a mess today. Look, we're getting it together. We're figuring it out. You know, man, I figured it out in the middle of this. So Oakland gets a good night's sleep, and we'll see how Lance Lynn does on the road. We'll see how he does on the road, but that shifts that perspective. Oakland's going to be I don't know, maybe minus 140, 135, minus 140. Maybe Lynn is a good value tomorrow. Is Oakland ready to be consistent? Can they win 3 in a row? So we look at the Dodgers in San Diego.
Yeah, you're done with the first look, or are you still looking at the first look?
First look. And so tomorrow, the Dodgers in San Diego. Here we are, top of the ninth. The Dodgers have gotten a run, 4-5. It's 4-5. But there's one out in the ninth. So if San Diego can close this out, right, if they can, then tomorrow they get to try to win 2 in a row at home against the Dodgers. And another tough pitching matchup. This guy Lament is very interesting. He's been outstanding. And that may be a real good option. That's looking really inviting. Houston goes against Arizona. Bumgarner back on the mound in Arizona, and Javier. What's the over-under for how many Astros are going to get hit with the pitch? 2 or 3?
I don't know, at least 2.
Yeah, and the Angels are the.
I might go to the over on the 2.
And your boy Adele too. Your boy Adele gets his major league. I don't want to say debut, but his major league debut for the tournament tomorrow, and they go into Seattle. So Seattle at 4-6, Angels at 3-7. One of these teams needs to just sweep this series and try to make a play for it. But this is really a race to 28 wins.
Yes, and you know me. I think I'm optimistic. I think Adele's going to be the lightning bolt that's going to turn it around completely for these Halos.
Can he pitch?
Well, that was Michael Driggs' first read, and we're still hanging on for the end of that great play you made taking San Diego. And what did you get, a run? Plus, you got San Diego plus 1 run?
Plus 1.5.
What's that?
So 2 outs, top of the ninth. Nobody on, 2-1. Should we just let's keep this alive, see if we can bring in a win here on our play and close it out with that. It's 2 balls, 1 strike. Taylor is up, 2-1. Well, at least watch this batter. Then
do your play-by-play. I'll throw in some color if need be.
Yeah. So I'll try to pull up
the play-by-play. I want to hear the play-by-play. I'm not looking at it.
It's blacked out. I have to watch it on the YouTube channel. 2-2 is the count. Nobody on. Dodgers have 6 hits tonight. Padres with 9. So looking for an update. A full count now. Full count.
Play-by-play on the blacked out YouTube channel. So much work that you had to take a double switch.
3-3. We got the winner.
We got the winner. That's what we want to hear.
So that was a good play. Our guest handicapper goes 1-2 on the night, and your Dodger Padre game comes in at a straight up win. You
promised it would be good till the end. Everybody hopes for a win, so you got everything. You got an exciting game that was fun for our fans to play and to sit through. You called it. You picked it. It was exciting, and now they could also, can I say it? They could also cash the ticket.
Yes. And so
that was Michael's first read.
I want to do this, though. I really love that. I had fun with that. And so let's keep that going until I get one wrong.
Okay.
Let's do that. So you pick the game based on what you think.
I got to pick. The thing that excited me the most from the first read, and I love that you're doing this because I this is the first read, so it's the first time I'm hearing it too.
Yeah.
The game that jumped out at me and excited me the most was the Oakland Lance Lynn Texas game.
So tomorrow I'll provide.
I'd like to see because let me just throw my 2 cents in there, and I know it's not going to stumble you at all because mine is just going to be fluff. But I think that Lance Lynn is actually going to be happy to get out of Texas and to get into the Bay Area. It's beautiful out there right now. And he's going to be happy to be there, breathing fresh air and being in nice, dry, 60, 70-degree weather.
You go to the beach, hit a couple bars.
Huh?
Go to the beach, hit a couple bars.
No, just you don't know. I'm in 98-degree weather,
yeah.
100% humidity. You don't know. You don't know how suffocating that is. I lived in Santa Monica, California. It was like a comfortable blanket just walking out of my house. Sure, I should have put clothes on when I went out front door, but what I'm telling you is, it's a lift to have that weather in California. It's just beautiful, and I think that's going to give him a benefit to be able to breathe. So that was my 2 cents on it. So, but the way you laid it out, and the reality and the handicapping, and maybe Lance Lynn is ready for a fall because he's pitching beyond his means, it excited me. So yeah. I'm gonna put the gun to your head and tell you to make a pit play on that right now.
Yeah, and so that's, well, not right now.
Not right now, but commit to making a play. Commit to making a play on that game right now.
With
for tomorrow.
The parameter of the first read play, we'll call it that, being.
I'll say it again. I'm sorry. What?
The first read play. That's what we'll call it. The first read play. But the parameter of it is, it's not necessarily a winner. It's just a play that will keep you in it till the end.
Right.
And so that is.
Okay.
And we'll do that until I'm wrong on a game.
Yeah, and I'll just intuitively pick a game that excites me from my first listen of your first read, and that's the game I pick.
So that's what we'll do. Love it. That was fun.
All right, great. That'll be a new segment because I think you're going to have a good winning streak. So this has been a great show. It went on a little longer than I would have liked, but we got that great story from you. But the key is, we are very optimistic that this tournament is going to keep on going because you machined the algorithms, and we're at 9.3% through the season. It took a hit from that 17 3 days ago, but you trained the machine algorithms and it all works. So we're 9.3% with more optimism. Many pitchers to be determined, as is the whole tournament. But we couldn't be having any more fun. I'm going to say goodnight to you, Michael.
Thank you. Beautiful job tonight, Marco. We'll see you tomorrow.
All right. See you tomorrow.